No, this video is not going to be about how you should never buy a Tesla or should sell the one that you have right now immediately. As a matter of fact, I would never recommend against anybody buying an electric car, specifically Tesla, because I do believe that Teslas are the best cars in the world right now. Instead, we're going to do something very different, and you should be very familiar with my guest, and we're going to start right now. Welcome to E4 Electric, your #1 source of electric car scoop. If you are interested in everything that's going on in the world of Tesla and electric cars in general, you came to the right place. All you have to do is click on that subscribe button and the bell notification icon so you don't miss anything moving forward. So I'm very sorry if you thought this was some sort of a Tesla bashing session. Instead, my guest, Rich of Rich Rebuilds YouTube channel fame, who you should be very familiar with, him and I are going to talk about why him and I left the brand of Tesla despite really enjoying the cars that we drove. But most importantly, we're going to talk about why so many people stay. As a matter of fact, Tesla has the strongest and the most enthusiastic fan base that I've ever seen, especially right now, and they're responsible for Tesla becoming the biggest automaker in the world, despite the fact that it's still very challenging in some cases to own a Tesla with some issues and problems. Nevertheless, it is an amazing phenomenon. So we're gonna get to it in a second. Before that, of course, a quick reminder that this video and this channel is sponsored by Climate Exchange. That's right, the Tesla raffle is back. You can win a Tesla of your choice. Only 4,000 tickets will be sold, so make sure to get yours using the link in the description of this video. And even if you don't win, the money will go towards a great environmental cause. And NeoCharge. Already have a 240 outlet but want to charge 2 electric cars, or maybe split it in between a car and an appliance without spending tons of money on an electrician? Well, check out the NeoCharge, your plug-and-play solution. Get one today and use the discount code in the description of this video. All right, Rich, haven't talked to you in a while, mainly because you are no longer driving a Tesla. And I guess this is the kind of a topic of partially of this video. So real quick, before we jump into the good stuff, tell us a little bit about what made you sort of move away from Tesla, and you actually went to mainly gas cars rather than to a different electric car.
You know, it's funny. It's like, you mean to tell me you're not talking to me anymore because I don't drive a Tesla anymore? You're worse than them. You're one of them, Alex.
I don't drive a Tesla anymore either.
No, I just, it's funny because my job as a content creator is to create content. And I feel like I beat the Tesla dead horse, man. Like, what else did it do? You know, I've swapped motors, I've swapped battery packs, I've rebuilt an X and S, a 3. It's after that, it kind of, you see like a slowing decline in terms of viewers because you're not really doing anything interesting or different anymore. And I feel like I kind of came to accomplish what I accomplished, and now I'm moving on to other stuff.
Was there any personal reasons as just a driver, as a consumer, that kind of turned you off maybe a little bit?
A lot of things that Tesla does turns me off, but the problem is that I find that their cars overall be pretty good. So, you know, I voiced a lot of my opinions before, and the things I feel strongly about, I've stated in videos. But I said what I had to say, and then now Teslas are kind of like a secondary thing. Like, you know, my daughter drives my old Tesla now, and it's kind of like, when I go back into the car, I don't feel the same way I felt when I first built it. It's kind of like, oh, this is pretty cool. It's quiet, it's quick, but my mind's focused on other stuff.
Now, you know, I've never kept it a secret. I missed driving a Tesla. You know, the reason I gave up the Tesla is not because of the actual car. Do you miss driving a Tesla? Would you say that is the best car to drive right now, or has that changed for you?
I think it's the best EV to drive right now. I mean, to be fair, I haven't driven every EV. I've driven, you know, Konas, I've driven Fiat 500s, e-Golfs, mostly the lesser EVs. I've actually driven a Jag as well, and the Audi e-trons. I've driven a lot, but not all of them. And I personally enjoy, money aside, you know what? I actually enjoy driving the Taycan more.
Really? Yeah, a lot of people say that.
Yeah, I enjoyed the driving experience in that car a lot more. It's obviously a lot more expensive, but again, barring price, I mean, driving that car, it felt like I was driving a Porsche, so it was great.
All right, so let's talk about the Tesla community because, me and you kind of had a pretty love-hate relationship with them.
Yeah.
But, as we're taping this right now, a few days ago, Tesla Kila came out, right?
Hmm.
And, it doesn't have the tequila that Tesla will make. It's just using a different brand's tequila.
Yeah.
It's extremely overpriced, and yet it's sold out in just a couple of hours.
Hmm.
So, it's hard to it's hard to not call Tesla following a cult because it kind of feels that way. But these people are really passionate about Tesla. I was like this, in 2012 when I bought my first one, where it wasn't
Yeah.
very cool. Do you think the passion has changed from back in the day, 2012, 2013, and now? Do you think the reason why people are so passionate about Tesla now is different?
Yeah, I remember when I first got my Model S, it was definitely a different feeling owning one because you knew, I mean, I owned mine years ago, right when the first Model S's were just kind of coming on board. And it was a different feeling seeing someone in the Tesla Model S. Like you'd literally, like you'd drive, you'd wave. And a lot of the times you'd stop at a supercharger and talk to them for an hour about, hey, what are you getting for range? What are you doing now? What are you doing now? Like, aren't these cars great? And it was a very different community. Now it's very different because I feel like it's been flooded with, I said this before, it's been flooded with all walks and all types and people that don't really, I guess, really care about the brand per se. It was more of like a status symbol to them. So it's like, hey, I want a Tesla. I want to look cool in what's hot right now. So I'm going to drive that and I'm going to have a good time. Now, I feel like it's definitely changed as to the clientele as to who's buying Teslas now because remember, since the Model 3s came out, they've been a lot more affordable. It's not really a prestigious, as prestigious as it used to be when it first came out. And, quite frankly, you could get an EV for, 30-something thousand dollars. So that opens up the market to a lot more people. And I do believe it's changed. Yeah, it's a little bit different feeling now.
No, so I have observed something actually a little bit different, and let me know if you agree with me. I
Mhm.
thought that as Tesla Tribe, which I was a proud member of, in the very beginning, our common enemy was the naysayers, right? The
Yeah.
internal combustion engine, people who said this will never work.
Mhm.
We were starting a revolution. But as the time went by and other electric cars started to come on the scene, and it's been more so in the last couple of years, I've noticed that Tesla community has turned from sort of depending and sort of progressing the cause, into the gas and combustion engine type of a
Yeah.
universe. They turn their
Yeah.
attention on the new electric cars,
Yeah.
which is essentially kind of goes against what I believed for in the beginning.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right because it's very, either this car or no other car. And whenever an EV comes on the market, it's just like, well, what's their charging infrastructure like? Well, what's this like? Or what's this like? And it generally immediately gets attacked and it got really old and it got so exhausting. I'm just like, guys, this is not for me anymore. And since then, I've been through multiple car communities. I've had a Corvette for a while. I've had a BMW, and recently moved on to the Minis and Audis. And I'll tell you, I've owned a lot of cars. Hands down, Alex, Tesla owners are the worst ones, by far, by far.
I do run a few different brand communities on Facebook, including Tesla, but also Audi and Porsche and Mercedes. And I do have
Right.
to say, I don't feel sort of even the competitive hate towards Tesla in other communities where I feel the other way around. Now, why do you think this happened? And do you think Elon Musk himself has some part in it?
I don't really think so. I think Elon, I don't think he has a partner. I think he definitely knows. I think he's, his social circle, they must gas him up to a level that, his head's ready to explode. And I think he keeps a pretty tight circle. I think he understands the game. I think he knows that when he releases a pair of shorts that has nothing to do with really, you know, EVs or sustainability. But it's funny because it's called a Tesla short. People are going to buy it. He knows that if he makes a flamethrower that literally has little to nothing to do with, again, EV sustainability, it's actually powered by propane, he knows he's going to sell it. When he has tequila, again, he knows he's going to sell it. So he knows he has a community. He knows he has a strong following of people that that can afford $100,000 cars and are willing to open up their wallets, you know, to buy more of his stuff. And, you know, it is what it is. I don't think he's really in charge of it or he's like leading a following, but he definitely knows it's there.
But do you? I guess I was more referring to you know, parts of when he actually, you know, he kind of talked down on Audi e-tron when they came out during the, I believe, earnings call. You know, just the other day he talked down to NIO because their stock actually outperformed Tesla's in terms of, you know, how much it actually went up this year.
Right.
And it's another electric car brand. You know, they have filed lawsuits against other brands, Xpeng Motors and so forth, you know, without much evidence, I have to say, that I have seen so far. So do you think that might have played some role?
No, you're right. But here's the thing: is that he's an individual that's leading the charge of a groundbreaking company, and it's really up to other people as to whether or not they follow him in that charge. Because I could have independent views of a CEO of a company. Like, for example, I was a Tesla owner. Well, I am currently a Tesla owner, multiple Teslas. I own Tesla stock, but I could still make the decision process in my head to not follow, you know, his beliefs in terms of bashing other cars and saying, I remember one time when Bill Gates chose to purchase a Porsche Taycan instead of a Tesla, Elon Musk responded with, you know, I've always found our conversations to be underwhelming. And I'm like, what? You know, and which is fine. I mean, you could be petty. He's a human being. I mean, I could be petty sometimes. Everyone could be petty. Everyone could get caught in their feelings. But as an individual, and I don't have a hive mentality, I could make my own decisions and say, hey, you know what? I choose not to do that. I choose to embrace other things as well. I think a lot of people that are looking for guidance tend to follow his sentiment in a lot of ways. So that's it.
Well, so what do you think can change? Because I still hope that electric car community can be a community rather than, you know, have its own little civil war that's going on, and it will probably intensify a little bit more because there's some real good competitors coming in the market. You know, Lucid is already, you know. What do you think can happen in terms of turning it around and maybe reconcentrating sort of our, you know, fight for the electric car revolution towards the rest of the world? Because we're still, you know, there's only about 3% of electric cars on the road right now in the world. Do you think it can come within the community, or do you think it has to come from Elon himself? And if so, what would that be?
No, I don't really think it's going to come from Elon, and I don't think he's ever going to say, hey, you know what? This is a pretty cool car company. You should try going for them instead of us. Because at the end of the day, you know, he's a businessman. You know, it's his company. He wants to grow it. He's in charge of a lot of money. He has to answer to those stockholders and shareholders. So, you know, he has a responsibility to himself to pump up his own brand. I think it has to come from external sources. I believe that companies have to really produce formidable competitors to Tesla to either pull people away or create a new audience and brand for people to follow their cars and culture. So
I hear you. The only reason I'm kind of even bringing it up is because, you know, many years ago, he did say that even if Tesla has to go bankrupt, but the result of that would be the electric car revolution, electrifying our transportation, he would be perfectly fine with it. So I'm wondering if that's probably changed because it is, you know, so much pressure from the investors and so forth.
Yeah, and you know, that's the funny thing because a lot of the times what leaders and business owners, they'll say a lot of very inspirational and like things that have a lot of foresight to kind of keep the charge going and keep people believing in the company. Because at the end of the day, for something that he's worked so hard for, he's not going to be okay with Tesla going under, and he's going to do everything in his power to have that not happen. Whether it's him literally forking over his own money, which he did before, to keep Tesla afloat. So the goal is to not have Tesla go under. That's kind of like a catch-all to say, hey, well, you know what? If things didn't work out, we gave it a good run. And anyone could say that, and it sounds admirable, but that's not the mission. He's going to do everything he can, whether it's, again, funding himself or taking money from the Saudis, whatever you want to do to keep it going. But he's not going anywhere. He knows that Tesla is, at this point, pretty much too big to fail. So you kind of say whatever you want.
That is true. You know, but do you? So I mean, I've got tons of story of my own. You have as well. But, you know, as I'm approving posts in my Facebook groups for Tesla owners, I see more and more, you know, people having issues, even with the new models like Model Y, because Tesla is just not still doing a good job putting together the cars well, or providing good customer service. Those are like top two complaints. Now, the answer, of course, could be like, well, listen, we can put out a $250 Tesla Kilo and you guys are going to, you know, buy it from us. So why do we have to like worry about quality of the cars? But will there be a point where they do have to worry about the build quality and the customer service? Or do you think it will continue for a while where they don't have to?
It's going to continue for a while where they don't have to. But I think later on, it's going to start really putting the pressure on them when Mercedes and BMW and other luxury car manufacturers come out with an EV that's, you know, a real contender. But even then, Tesla still has a massive head start because they have the brand, they have the recognition. They're in a massive lead right now because it's funny, even like my daughter, you know, for her, it's cool to have a Tesla. You know, she has a Tesla. Everyone in her school thinks she's cool. Like her friends' parents have Teslas. Teslas is the trendy, hip, and in thing to have. It's almost like having I don't know how to say it, maybe a Ferrari in a way, right? You have a Ferrari, it's a prestigious name, but to some, a Lamborghini is much better. But at the same time, like, it's the name. Like, you have a name, you have a prestige set for yourself, and that Tesla name is going to carry it for a long time. Even a lot of my close friends are saying, you know, hey, you know, I really want a Tesla. It's like, well, do you really want an EV? Or do you really want a Tesla? And he said, no, I want a Tesla. And it's funny because he doesn't want an EV for the benefits of owning an EV. He wants Tesla because of the name, because it comes with, oh, wow, this is a $100,000 car. Like, this person has made it. It's one of those funny things where I think the brand and the coolness is going to carry it for a while. Almost like Nike in a sense, you know. Are there better sneakers than Nike? Of course there are. But, you know, Nike's a massive name.
What about, you know, we talked, there are two types of other brands that will be competing with Tesla and already are. One is obviously the legacy manufacturers like Audi and Mercedes and BMW. Other ones are startups like NIO, Lucid, Fairlight Future, and others. Some of them will survive, some of them won't. But do you think in order for them to sort of really get in there, they need to have a showman like Elon Musk for Tesla?
Yeah, that definitely helps because that way people that follow the brand have an individual to aspire to. You know, remember when oh, you name it. Remember when Bill Gates was in charge of Microsoft, or better yet, you know, Steve Jobs and Apple. People love having a person that they could look at and say, hey, listen, I know I'm going to turn on my TV or log into YouTube and I'm going to see, you know, quarterly or at the end of the year, I'm going to see an update from this person to see how my favorite company's going. And it's really hard to be passionate about a brand without some kind of icon. So for example, for GM, you know, a lot of people don't know who the CEO of GM is in a lot of cases. I know you do. But, you know, they want something to follow. They want a halo of some sort, whether it be a halo car, like, you know, Chevy has its Corvette, or whether it be a person that they could follow, like, you know, Elon Musk, to say, wow, this is what I want to do. This is the person that represents the brand, kind of thing. Hopefully other brands could do that, but it's really hard to have someone that has the quirky, awkward engineer prowess that Elon Musk has. Because at the end of the day, remember, he's a brilliant man. Not to say that other CEOs aren't, but he, you know, he had a big part in building the company itself. Whereas a lot of other people, a lot of the legacy manufacturers like Audi and BMW, brands that have been around for like 100 years, CEOs literally have probably gone to college with us and all of a sudden they're the head of a big company. So it's really hard to follow their path when they've probably been through, 4 or 5 other companies and then finally land at the one that they're at now.
Yeah, and I have to say that I was lucky enough to meet in person and had on my show quite a few of those guys, right? From RJ of Rivian to Peter Rawlinson of Lucid, and a few other CEOs, presidents, and so forth. And I found them extremely inspirational, a lot of them. But I just don't see them going sort of head to head with Elon Musk and making statements like that. Like, they're brilliant people. They have charisma. A lot of them do, especially, Carson Breitfeld of Fair Future if they survive.
Right.
But I just don't see them going and being the showman.
Yeah.
What do you think will actually inspire people to buy the Lucids and the Fair Futures and Neos of the world, or maybe the new Hummer and so forth?
What will inspire people? I think the specs of the vehicle, the car has to speak for itself. Without any other external attachment to the vehicle, you have to be able to roll that car into a massive group of people that have to get their hands on it. They have to drive it. They have to test it. And they have to see the price of it. And the car will speak for itself. If you remove Elon Musk from the equation and you take a Tesla Model S and you take a Porsche Taycan in the same room, and you add up price, specs, performance, etc., without anything on the outside, it's sometimes a hard sell to get a Taycan over a Model S, given price, performance, supercharging network, and everything else. The car has to speak for itself. That's really what it is.
Earlier, let me go back to a little bit about the the hardcore Tesla fans, the Tesla community. They you've mentioned, and I think we've both noticed, they kind of get their information from the same places, right? The Teslarati, Elon Musk Twitter account, a few YouTubers and so forth, and whenever they come out and come across us, or especially this conversation, they go, "Oh my God, these are Tesla haters," right?
Oh, I hate them so much, right?
Right. Why do you think they are so overprotective of information that they have and not necessarily wanting to maybe learn about other, which I think are quite amazing and interesting things that are happening outside of Tesla with other electric car brands?
Well, I think that's a human nature thing. I think a lot of the times, if you're comfortable in your own little bubble, you rarely want to reach outside and look at opposing views on something. It's typical if you're, depending on what political party you vote for. If you're in one camp, it's not very common that you're going to kind of sneak over to the other camp, listen to what they have to say, acknowledge it, process it, and be open to changing your own mindset. That doesn't happen very often, and it happens with several things. So cars are no different. People put a lot of time into cars, and it's their own personal preference. It's a representation of themselves. And if it's almost like you have to question yourself. It's just like, wait a second, like, I like Teslas, but this other car company is kind of cool too. And now I feel all weird inside because I like Teslas and I never thought that I could go with anything else, but now I'm considering it. So it's a very big, very small bubble. And a lot of the times the community will shame people in or out of the group. If you own a gas car, it's just like, why did you buy a Toyota? Why did you buy a Honda Accord hybrid when you could have just had a Tesla by paying $5 grand more? Wait a minute, why are you selling your Model 3 because you can't afford it? That doesn't make any sense. Why don't you just lease it instead so you could have the car forever? So there's pain going both ways. Whether you're coming into the group or you're leaving the group, it's almost like you're shamed either way. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't.
Yeah, I do have to admit that I feel like I'm one of the few people in at least of who I know who watches both CNN and Fox News, and then I go out and watch something from Europe like BBC News or some of the Russian news networks as well. So
it's very rare. You're a very rare person, so you should feel special right now.
Well, I don't know if I feel special, but I really, so I guess. What would you wish for Tesla community, which, neither one of us are really kind of part of, if one thing that we would want them to maybe switch, change their minds or switch their opinions on, what would be that thing that you would wish they can actually maybe see differently?
I think open-mindedness, just keep an open mind to things, to new things, just understand and respect people's views on things. understand and respect that not everyone drives a Tesla and not everyone could realistically afford one. A lot of the cases, a lot of things I see on forums are people shaming others because of what cars they drive. But at the end of the day, a Model 3, which is their cheapest offering, is not an inexpensive car by any way, shape, or form of the imagination. People buy different cars for different reasons. Some people might want to spend $35,000 on a car that's not a Tesla because they don't want to have to think about charging, and that's okay. You know, they get attacked and they'll say, hey, no, like, it doesn't matter. Like, I know you want to fill up your gas tank, you know, twice a week, but remember, when you leave your house with an EV, you're always charged at all times. And they're kind of preaching this, and it's like, well, you know, let the person have their preference. Maybe they don't want to do that, and to each their own. So I think mindfulness is probably the biggest thing. That'll probably go a long way.
I always love talking to Rich, and if you love listening to Rich, he's got his own YouTube channel. Did you know that? So I strongly suggest you subscribe. He rebuilds all kinds of cars there, electric, gas, even the cyber quad. So it's really entertaining. I love watching his channel, so don't forget to subscribe. And I'm only asking because, you know, he really needs subscribers. I mean, he's not even at 1 million yet. I put the link in the description of this video. And if you are wondering what to watch next, remember all these electric cars I was talking about that are going to be available within the next year that are not Tesla? Well, I put together a video about all of the electric crossovers and compact SUVs that are essentially going to be competitors to the Tesla Model Y. Well, check out that video. I put that link in the description of this video. And if you're watching me on YouTube, you can click on it right there in that corner. So I'm looking forward to all of your comments. Other than that, see you guys next time, and remember to stay charged.